Hello and welcome back to the channel. For the video today we are going to speak of infantry and cavalry detachment and their role and importance in our game of Valor and Fortitude. An infantry detachment or a cavalry detachment is a small unit of 6 to 8 models armed with the regular infantry with a common stats. In all the army they have the same stats. 2 for melee, 2 for shooting and 2 of tenacity. And the light infantry rule, so they can take the open order. Cavalry are the same, 3 model, armed with saber, no fire, 2 of melee, 1 of tenacity, light cavalry and carbine. This is essentially the stats of these two detachments, and they are not so cheap. 12 points for cavalry and 11, 10, 12 depend on the army sheet. British that have rifle cost more than a regular infantry. At the first sight it doesn't be a convenient choice, but their role on the field are a key role in my opinion. And now I'm proceeding to tell you why and how to employ your infantry and cavalry detachment. We have here 3 different detachments. A cavalry detachment, I take 3 hussars because I have not yet painted it. 1 unit of voltigeur base singularly, or a common base, a singular base with all the 6 model of voltigeur. When I begin to play test and then play Valor and Fortitude, I find that this way to base together your infantry detachment is very efficient to move them around the table. But later on I changed my mind and decided to rebase all of this into this, because I prefer aesthetically the idea to, when I go in open order, to can really skirmish in front of the army and sometimes have possibility to change their shapes on the field. Is better for deployment or to position in and move around the table. But as I said, it's the perfectly okay if you take on a single base to move them around and declare to your opponent that you are going to go into open order, maybe with a token or something to remember to you and to your opponent, and use a single base. This is for sure more stable on the table, no drop or fallen miniatures, and they are kept together. But that is a matter of taste of you. Coming to the use of these units. At first I underestimate their role on the battlefield. I say, okay, it's a point filler, it's a small unit which give some decent fight support. In the end they shoot 2 dice, where a regular battalion of infantry shoot 3, at least in most of the army, and completely underestimate the use of a single detachment. What is a detachment of infantry? It's a company, essentially. Something like a company of voltigeur or riflemen or light infantry detached to into a brigade to act as light infantry. But on the contrary of the regular light infantry, they operate as a single squads and not as a war battalion. And in the past video about light infantry tactic, one of you asked me if I forgot to mention or forgot to speak about infantry detachment then can cover the same role of light infantry. And as I promised him, I made a video about this. Yes, they can have the same role, but they have a specialized role which make them sometimes even better, and depend on how you intend to use them. Their worst weakness is they have a very low tenacity limit, especially for cavalry, which have just one, so is easy to make shaken or to break, especially in melee. So you must have a real careful approach in the use, and sometimes, on the contrary, you have to waste them in order to gain a tactical advantage on the battlefield. Now moving to show you how to use on the battlefield. The first and easy role for your detachment: occupy a terrain, defendable terrain, which are not in danger, not in immediate danger, or not in danger at all. This grant you some advantage. First of all, you can enlarge the space that they can use to shoot, a line of sight, etc., because the terrain is far larger than their bases. They are in cover, they halve their casualty if they occupy it in open order. I recommend to always act in open order. At the moment, I have no real idea when you need to stay in close order with an infantry detachment. Always operate in open order, and this is the reason because I want them based on singular model, because most of the time they are in open order, so in skirmish formation, because they reduce the casualty exactly light infantry, and they have the possibility to receive the order through messenger if they are in open order. Anyway, the first of this situation is take control of a terrain and enlarge their area of operation. They can see everywhere, they can shoot, they can lend support, etc. And if this terrain is out of danger, they are pretty safe even in a so small unit size. If they are in open order and into terrain, they get bonus from cover. They have their melee dice returned due to the fact to be in cover, so they still roll 2 dice in melee, and get the bonus to be harder to hit and halve the casualty. So always in open order, and remember, if you base in this way, to tell to your opponent that they are in open order. And this is the first and the most obvious thing to do with one of your infantry detachment. If this wood is on a side of the table, they still have a decent firepower, 2 dice that can be shot everywhere, and I cannot say that they can hold this wood for an unlimited time. If your opponent really want to dislodge them, you will succeed charging them with an infantry. A cavalry with a charging a unit in a wood can be have a harder time, because a light cavalry, for example, halves their melee value. And so they roll only 2 dice, and 2 dice roll the infantry. And so it's not even sure that a cavalry charge can dislodge a single unit of voltigeur in a wood. And finally, they can enter and leave in the same moment, so this will help if you need to move quickly across a wood and not to occupy. But as I said, a single unit can be very effective on a wood in the center or a wood on a side, just for the mere 2 dice of fire that they can shoot all around. Here we see an infantry detachment deployed in front of a 2 column of attack marching towards the enemy, the British. And in this case, yes, they cover the same role of light infantry, because they are the closest target to the enemy, so they receive the worst of the fire, and they also halve the casualty that they're receiving. Keep in mind that they have just tenacity of 2, so it's not hard to make them shaken, because 4 hit in the same volley of fire can shake them, rather than 8 to shaken a unit of light infantry, battalion of light infantry in front of your main army. Get 8 hit in a single volley of fire is pretty hard. Have 4 hit in a single volley of fire is not so impossible, especially for a Brits in line. But in any case, I'm speaking about French and British, but maybe you are playing French and Austrian, French and Russian. Russian have so reduced firepower that you can use them as light infantry without any problem. But it's not this the real role for your infantry detachment. They can cover the role of light infantry in a few point battle, because maybe you don't want to pay for a light battalion, a légère, or whatever it is, and you want to have some skirmisher in front of it. Okay, you can do it, but they are here for another reason. In the first step of the game, even if you attack or defend, they are here to receive the fire from the enemy in place of your column of attack. So the question is, are they more useful in attack than in defense? Yes and no. Probably they are more useful in attack than in defense, but even in defense they are not bad, because they can land fire and sometimes they can move quickly across the table, occupy a position, and then from that position land fire support or shoot at the enemy before that your unit can do it. But as I said, probably they are at their best supporting an attack. Why? First reason, they receive the fire in place of your main column of attack. Second reason, if you want to charge, you cannot shoot, and so they can act in 2 ways. Let me show you here. The Brits are too far away and are out of the camera. I put them closer so that you can see, but probably you are not so close in reality. Okay, I don't want the camera skip around. I want to put them in this way. If you want to charge with this column of attack here, you cannot shoot, but they can, and just a single casualty on your target make them easier to break, easier to make them shaken, so they can land the essential fire at the beginning of your assault, or later on they can, as they are light infantry, so they can use the rule skirmisher, fire, then retreat with their move behind your column of attack, and then let them charge in this way. Okay? This is one situation. Another one could be to prepare an attack exactly like infantry. They can lend their support maybe with one of your battalion in line to make your opponent weak, and then, as I said, retreat behind your unit or move sideways, and then let your column attack with the full effect. And this is one of the most obvious use of your infantry detachment, and as I said before, very similar to the use that you can have with your light battalion. But maybe your light battalion is are acting on a flank or on another place on the battlefield. The other thing, the most useful thing in my opinion, is not again the fire support, but is a tactical use that you can make with your infantry support, and in this way be ready to lose them. But if you are the defender, or if you don't want to be counter-striked by an enemy, you can sacrifice your light detachment, put them as a most advanced unit in front of the enemy. You must or should line them up just 3 inches away from your enemy, in a way that you are the closest unit in front of it. Again, try to stay in open order, because maybe it will try to crush you by fire, but if you are not crushed by fire, it cannot charge your unit until you are ready to attack at your condition. An attack at your condition could be stay in place 1 or 2 turns to soft them up with fire, or hold the line until your reinforcement is coming, or your cavalry is coming, or simply you need to delay your enemy as long as possible. What I'm trying to say is particularly true if you play scenarios and not a simple casual battle with objective that grab to you points. Try to figure out some case where you have to delay the enemy until the very last moment, or you have to stop a force in a spot in order to encircle them, or you have to cross the enemy, maybe have to cross a bridge and you have to stop it or repel it or whatever you want. Okay, I'm not talking only about take an objective, take point from the objective. Okay, because this special use of detachment and light infantry work very, very good in a scenario where you have something to do, not just simple point to take. I make this because I have a lot of scenario that I play. I take all the old Black Powder scenario and adapted it to Valor and Fortitude, but I have also elaborate maybe 8, 9 scenario, and not all of them are take points. Okay, for example, you have to cross the midline with your battalion and officer, so the defender need to hold you as long as possible, or even better, avoid that you cross the midline. In this case, these tactics work pretty good, and work even better than a regular games when you just need to take an objective. But anyway, close this bracket. I'm back. Be ready to sacrifice your unit, because if being charged, probably it die. It will take enough heat to be break routed. But when you do this, you gain 1 turn, maybe 2 if your opponent decide to try to kill them by fire just not to take casualty back. And 2 turn could make the difference. May allow your backup infantry to close the gap, to set up a counter strike, set up for attack, whatever is your plan. They, in this case, are here to die. We can call them a chaff unit, which is going to be lose during the game. We can call it this way. And this make clear that is a risky tactic if you play with small brigade, is quite painless tactic if you play with a large brigade. If you use the tactic in a large brigade when you have to taste to the routed unit, your test will be on a 3+. If your army leader is close to that brigade, is a test on a 2+, because you test on a 4+1 if your brigade is 5 units or more, and +1 if you are within 12 inches from your leader. So you can gain time sacrificing your troops in order to gain a tactical advantage at less cost in terms of defeat. And this is not to say that you cannot use this tactic, for example, on a small brigade. It's just more risky. So be prepared to have maybe a defeat if you roll a 3+ or less on a regular brigade, or if you are far away from your army leader. But sometimes it's worth the sacrifice, because in order to get a tactical advantage, it could be a good sacrifice, good test. And then the last things of this video about infantry and cavalry detachment, and are the cavalry detachment. It was a later discover, because at the beginning I essentially completely skip the possibility to use a cavalry detachment. And one day in one larger battle I save some points. I say, oh, we'll try one of this, and I was surprised because during the game I got what I simply forgot before. They are even better than infantry detachment at do this tactic. Why? Because they can move quickly. They can move 18 inches. So in your first turn, and the second turn at least, they can be in front of the enemy. They moving 18 inches have more mobility on the field, so they can sacrifice themselves quicker, easier. Be prepared to lose them more probably than your infantry, but they are very good to be the closest unit in front of the enemy. For fire, maybe you need to be quick around the table and don't want to take casualty, don't want to take enemy fire at long range from artillery, from whatever you want. Cavalry is here for you. But the more important things is that they can protect your infantry from enemy cavalry. In this case, until not in a very best way, because infantry cavalry from the Brits have headstrong, and so they can overcharge your defeated unit. But against other army, Russian, Austrian have a very powerful in cavalry, they can sacrifice themselves to gain you one turn. Just one turn could be enough to put your infantry behind them into square, to assure that you have enough firepower to shut down the cavalry to a level that are no more a threat, especially a light one. Or again, another trick that you can do is to put into view in a way that you are still the closest model, but you force the opponent to charge you in a good way for you, because this cavalry, and we assume is not a British one, will charge in this way, kill your detachment. In this way, really have close order or open order, it doesn't matter, again a cavalry, or you are very, 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 very lucky, or they are gone, okay? But they offer the flank to your incoming infantry, and maybe you have put one casualty to this cavalry. If you take a good chance to charge an enemy cavalry on a side, is not more a bad match for your infantry. It's a risky one, but it's not the worst case, because you are charging, you are hitting on a tree if you are no casualty, you have a +1 dice, you reroll the 1 if you are French, and if this is a cavalry taken on a side, he halves their attack. 4 attack, 5 attack against 2 probably will see your infantry victorious. But even better if you use your cavalry detachment with your infantry brigade, with your cavalry brigade. Because if it's this the situation, the enemy cavalry probably will be braked in a single melee. So, as I said, try to lure the enemy cavalry to charge you in a bad position for them. Figure this situation. And again, they are not British, okay? They are not British of this, or this tactic won't work. In this case, a front charge between these two cavalry is reduced, as we have seen in the bat rap, in a volley of dice, and the lucky one will end as victorious, or probably the charge because it hit on a tree. In this case, this cavalry, an Austrian hussars, not a light dragoon, for example, have to make a choice. This one is the closest one unit, so he must charge them and expose the flank to the dragoon, or do not charge at all. And they can simply stay put. You won, you gain a turn. Maneuver, still you won, gain a turn and have time to react. Or take the worst decision, charge them and expose the flank. But if they are really not forced to do this, probably this is not the choice that your opponent will take. And if they are like Dragoon, this position of your cavalry could be the safest position for the rest of your army, not for the first, but the second charge. Let me say what I'm trying to show you. You are not stupid. You are not aware that the cavalry is coming to your infantry. The cavalry charge your infantry, and you know that it will break. You cannot avoid the charge. You don't want to put them into square, so you can put this here, or even you can put your infantry as a sacrifice unit, okay? Because sometimes, as for the chess play, a sacrifice is needed to get more advantage later on. You can sacrifice a battalion of infantry, and if you lose it, maybe not against a light cavalry, but if you lose it, they are forced to charge the closest visible unit here, and then they expose the flank to your counter-strike cavalry. So, there are so many roles for the detachment that, as you can see, I've just give you a glimpse because there are so many table situations that is not possible to cover in detail every single one. It really depends on the ongoing of the game, but all of you are veteran players, so you can figure out by yourself how many use you can get from infantry detachment. So try them on the field if you are not just using, and let me know what do you think. A last thing, just one that I forgot to mention before. They occupy few space, and again on attack or on defense and counter-strike they can shoot, and then both of them can charge wherever they want, using less than half of the space of a regular battalion. I think that I show you all the important role that they can cover on the battlefield. And don't forget that they are in open order, they can cross terrain in a real fast way. They can cross a wood in a sec. They can enter and exit in the same turn, so they can move quickly here in just a sec. And they have carbine, so essentially it works as for the skirmisher, so they can shoot and take an action because it's the same rule. So they are very useful as light cavalry, but they've got a plus, some minus. They are real fragile. They're just tenacity 1, but they can cover a real important role on the battlefield. And now that I can see artillery, if you are desperate, I do not suggest you to do, but if you are desperate or try your lucky, they are a good chaff unit to put into an artillery. Probably they will lose, but if you are lucky enough to win the melee, they crush the artillery in a volley, and you have not sacrificed a larger unit. But it's a very situational moment. Maybe the artillery could be withered or shaken or have some casualty, but it's not their role. They are not artillery hunter, okay? but it's a possibility. And that's it for the use of detachment. I hope that this video closed the gap between light infantry and the role of this small unit, and you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I am back as soon as possible with another one for you. For the moment, bye bye.